Hello and welcome to Kalinga Stadium, Bhubaneswar, for the final match in Pool A in the Hero Champions Trophy 2014. It's been between former champions Australia, or rather the reigning champions Australia, and former champions Pakistan. Should be a big clash because this is how Pool A is fixed at the moment. England and Belgium have already made sure that they will finish top of the pool as well as in second position. Australia at best can go up to third, or rather retain their third position, and there's an opportunity here for Pakistan because if they can beat Australia, then they will climb up to third position as well. So the stakes quite high for both teams. It's also the first match of the evening session on what is match day 3 of this Hero Champions Trophy, and in many respects it's a little bit of a starter before the main course, perhaps for the locals, because Bhubaneswar will be looking forward to Netherlands versus India, which will follow soon afterwards. But at the moment, the Kookaburras in their green and gold, and up against them, the green shirts of Pakistan, looking to make an impression, looking still for their first points in this Hero Champions Trophy. The team which has conceded the most number of goals thus far in this championship, with 10 goals, as many as 8 against England. As always, we'll wait for the national anthems of the two countries to begin with. So it might just be for third place in this pool, but it will be for a lot of pride, because both teams haven't really had the kind of results they would have wanted. Australia beginning with a 3-1 defeat at the hands of England, and then a match which they were leading 3-0, eventually drawing that 4-all against Belgium. They start today with Andrew Charter in goal. Simon Orchard is just 1 goal away from 50 international goals. Chris Cirello is 3 away from 100. Could those numbers possibly come up in the course of the next 60 minutes? They've also got Flynn Ogilvie, one of the younger players, who also got his first goal in international hockey in the match against Belgium. For Graham Reid, the man who also won a silver medal at the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. Incidentally, bronze went to Pakistan in that particular competition. Pakistan, of course, Imran Butt in goal, didn't really have a good outing. Neither did his fellow goalkeeper Amjad Ali in the last game, where they alternated quite a few times. But they have some experience and some quality in the likes of Mohammad Waqas, as well as Mohammad Dilbar, who's playing his 95th game. Rashid Mahmood is playing his 99th. And they've got Mohammad Imran, who has scored through a penalty stroke against Belgium, their captain, with more than 224 caps. The green shirts just going into a little bit of a huddle. They need something positive to come out of this match for this man. Sheikh Shahnaz, who was part of the team that won the first ever Champions Trophy back on home soil in 1978. also scored 45 goals in 68 matches for Pakistan. The two officials for today, Fernando Gomez from Argentina, and he is being joined at the other end by Dion Nell of South Africa, with the TV umpire duties being done by Gareth Greenfield of New Zealand. Australia and Pakistan, their 30th meeting in all in Champions Trophy matches, but Pakistan haven't beaten Australia in this particular competition since 2002 when they won in Cologne. So it's been a long wait. Can they break it today at Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar? It's the Kookaburras who get things moving in green and gold from right to left, and up against them defending their goal on the left in green are Pakistan. I'm Divine Singh. Joining me for this one, as always, as he has been for each and every game and will be for each subsequent game as well, Simon Mason, former England and GBR goalkeeper.
Good evening, Divine. I have to say I worry for Pakistan, having seen the demolition that England put to them just the other day. This Australian attack is yet to really fire, and if they start taking all of the chances that they have been creating, I'm not sure what outcome we're going to see here other than an Australian win. However, stranger things have happened in international sport. Pakistanis create a couple of early chances. You never know, they may well be able to sit back and try and hold on.
Absolutely. One thing that we have been focusing on, we have been talking about, is the fact that this team probably hasn't played as much top-level competition in recent times. But with the new format, the 4 quarters of 15 minutes each, that just gives them an opportunity to have short, quick bursts at their opponent, and that could prove to be decisive. Winning possession in the middle of the field. Shafqat Rasool, who turns 26 tomorrow, will be looking to get a perfect gift a little before midnight. Still with Pakistan down the right, but getting some support here from Mohammad Irfan, who scored one of their goals, 3 goals in this competition thus far, 2 against England and 1 against Belgium, which looked like a slightly scrappy affair. Now this is inside the D. It's attempted to be slipped through, but it was very competently read and defended by the Australians.
And it was that man, Shafqat Rasool, that you mentioned earlier on, who got himself into a great position. I felt he would turn and actually hit a shot, Charter, in the Australian goal, but it wasn't to be. A gentle push in the end was taken in the middle of the circle.
An indicator perhaps of the confidence levels or the lack thereof in this Pakistan team.
This is the clumsy stick challenge as it comes in from Irfan.
There's some players with a number of caps, but not enough big tournament experience, especially in this calendar year 2014. Missed out on the Commonwealth Games, also missed out on the World Cup for the first time in their history, the Pakistanis. This is Australia, though. Last game they did show a lot more spark. So perhaps just a touch unlucky, not so much in terms of the decision, but in the timing of the goal that they conceded. Belgium did deserve the equalizer, but 3-0 up at one stage would have been fancying their chances of bagging full 3 points against the Belgians. Now here they come. Moving forward quite well. Beale all the way to Russell Ford, just getting lost in a maze of legs, his own.
Look at the height of the Australian press. Pakistan are going to have to make some very, very fast decisions in their own 25 if they're to get out of there unscathed. At the moment, every time a green shirt gets a ball, Australia are able to step an extra man forward and create at least a 2-man pressure.
Some delightful work in midfield again from Shafqat, all the way down to the right to Waqas. Waqas has moved his way into the D. Oh, attempting a shot as well. Just couldn't direct it goalwards, but that was some delightful work from Pakistan.
Down the baseline, Waqas is dribbling beautifully left to right, creates a space. In the end, the angle just slightly too short, and Qadir unable to get the shot onto Charter's goal. That's the first 2 chances of this game. Pakistan creating down that right-hand side with some brilliant individual skill.
He's playing his 49th match, so a little bit of experience behind him. Scored a goal against England as well, Arsalan Qadir, number 18. As far as these first 5 minutes, Pakistan perhaps creating the 2 clear-cut circle penetrations, but not able to test Andrew Charter as yet.
Well, looking back on the England game, they actually created the first meaningful chance against England Goalkeeper Patrick Smith having to make a good save as Pakistan, funny enough, came in round the right-hand side and slapped it across. Exactly the same kind of movement that they've managed to execute in these first moments, and it would suggest that their inability to then replicate that is down to the conditioning. We've talked about the lack of programme that they have and the lack of resources back at home. That will undoubtedly pay its toll as this tournament progresses.
Australia looking to move forward through. Glenn Simpson gets some support. Down the left, it's Fergus Kavanagh. Man who comes in with the experience of 193 caps before this. Lobbed up front with Kavanagh. Easy composure at the back. Budgen sending this long ball up, which has been received. Looking to get it inside the D, but well intercepted by Dilbar. Just losing his footing, which could prove to be costly. Australia have got the ball into the D. Were looking for a shooting opportunity. Just couldn't get one. Back with Kavanagh. Chris Cirello, the man who has 2 goals, both penalty corner conversions. If he gets one more, he will join Sam Ward of England as the joint top scorer in this Hero Champions Trophy. But in the meantime, a possible counter-attack. Mohammad Waqas, wasted ball.
It was a wasted ball given how quickly Rasul was trying to get forwards to support him. But Australia just forcing it a little. It was Cirello who gave the ball away by trying to throw one of his trademark drag flicks into the Pakistani circle, but from distance, from a static position.
This was looking quite promising, the way that Tasawwur had actually nearly found Dilbar and just overran the ball, or rather the pass was just a little behind him. Had it been right on his stick, it would have been dangerous for the Australians. Australians must be wary of one thing. They will know, of course, that the Pakistani players, being young, have great speed about themselves. Simpson, long ball which finds its mark in Beale, the man who captained the junior Australian squad at the Junior Hockey World Cup last December in Delhi. Familiarity with conditions also a bonus perhaps for the Australian players, while Pakistan will be used to these kind of weather conditions, but most of the Australian players have been part of several events which have taken place in India over the last 12 months or so, have also been playing the HIL off and on. That will just make them more aware of these conditions.
Yeah, the temperature's dropped significantly since earlier in the day. Obviously, since the sun's gone down, it makes it quite bearable, but it is still the humidity that will play its part, because the players have been able to cool themselves, and as the body temperature rises, fatigue sets in just that little bit quicker.
Glenn Simpson once again all the way back to the defense. Yes, it must be remembered, it was only 11 minutes of madness which undid the Pakistanis in the last game. I say only because 5 goals were conceded inside those 11 minutes. And the first of those came just on the stroke of the end of the first quarter. So that is perhaps the area where the Pakistan coach would have told his players to concentrate a little bit more. Going into the breather, what they don't want is a deficit, because if that happens, it just tends to deflate them. Or at least that is what the last game would suggest. Back with possession for the Pakistanis. Just to remind you of how things are placed at the moment. In this group, England have finished top. Belgium will finish second. This is a fight for third. Australia just need to avoid defeat and they will be third. And that will mean that they will take on the team which finishes second in Group B, or Pool B rather. And that at the moment is Argentina.
Australians now being able to keep possession reasonably easy. That's a nice little layoff. Slightly too much of the ball. There's the pace taken off the ball through the Australian midfield.
Here come Pakistan. They have looked a little bit more composed today on the ball.
Great spin. Brought her down the right-hand side. As he got it, he just faked past the ball back to midfield. And as he faked to do so, dropped it back and then was able to spin off his right shoulder into space.
You will always get some great individual skills from the Pakistanis. What will be required today is cohesion. Perhaps the fact that they did go down as badly as they did in their last match could just allow them to play with a little bit more freedom, because in many respects they've got nothing to lose in this game. They know that in all likelihood they might well finish last in this pool. They might as well go down in a blaze of glory, play with a little bit more freedom, play to express themselves more on the turf. Down to the left, Matty Dawson, one of the youngsters who's been picked for this particular tour. 7th cap overall for Australia. Kavanagh. Back with Dawson. Sizing up his options, going straight through the centre. Picked up now by the Pakistanis.
I think it was in the 5th minute the Pakistan goalkeeper Butt conceded his first goal against England, so we'll be glad that there's nothing on the board against him so far, because he went on to have a dreadful 10-minute spell that resulted in him getting substituted out, as you have said, for Ali. Unfortunately, Ali then did exactly the same thing, had a shocker and got substituted out himself. I think at one point Pakistan were thinking of bringing in a 3rd goalkeeper at some point as a rescue replacement, but they just need to keep their confidence. They're not having very much to do. It's all about the chat that they issue to their defence in front of them and the shape that they maintain. One of the crucial defensive roles for a goalkeeper is not so much just the saving, it's the chat to the people in front of him.
The Australian keeper Henry Charter, could have been pressed into service, but it wasn't the case. There's Amjad, the substitute, looking on and wondering perhaps if he'll be required at some stage. And for different reasons, both teams have had a few keeping changes. Australia's have been out of choice. That's Tyler Lovell. And he has come more out of choice, but in case of Pakistan in the last game, they really did run out of options at one stage. The goals were coming by thick and fast. There was nothing much that the defence or the keeper could have done about most of them.
Well, there's good pressure in midfield coming out on Tristan White. Pakistan able to just exert a little pressure. 2-6 stepping forwards into that midfield role. And they can't allow Australia to get their heads up in midfield. If they keep forcing them into a long ball game, then they can then counter-attack as they do here.
That's beautifully taken up, and it's Arsalan who's got some sublime skills of his own, good commitment as well, but cannot keep it out, rather cannot keep it in play, in spite of a brave effort.
Yeah, tries his best, and in the end he's actually deliberately knocked it off the baseline, but you question why, because the baseline gave us a 16-yard hit, which was actually behind him, and Australia came away without him able to get into a defensive position.
Australia once again looking to build on something down the centre, right down the middle. Tristan White spreading out to the right. And now some support inside the box. Jake Wetton, who did get a goal against Belgium, doesn't get a whiff of the ball this time. Dilbar does well. Supported well by Kashif. And now looking to get the ball out to Kasawar, who was first to it. Finds a foot, and this will just be a little bit of breathing space for the Pakistan defence in towards the last 2 minutes of this first quarter.
Jake Wetton cuts a lonely figure on his own. His midfield press hasn't come with him. They have now. Pakistan now faced with a 2-on-2 defence. If Wetton gets across and can intercept.
Indeed, the interception does come through. Cirello on through to Wetton, but a vital interception of Pakistan's own.
And we've got an immediate Wetton's gone for video referral, suggesting it's either a foot or a back stick in the circle as he's driven through. The defender was definitely in the circle.
I got it, guys. They're looking for the body. They were stick first and then onto the body. I only saw the stick and the stick.
So Wetton, as he pushed it in.
Pakistan body inside the circle, body, yeah.
The ball coming up. We're looking for ball coming up off the defender's stick into his body as we drive in here. We're obviously not going to see it from that angle, because Wetton drives into the stick. It hits the stick apparently, and then just gets touched up. So good pass in. Yep, clear as you like. Well, to me, clear as you like. I've said that in the past, and it's not been close.
off the Pakistan body penalty corner. Thank you.
Well, no doubt about it this time around, and this will be Australia's best chance thus far. And of course, they have Chris Cirello in there, who will be fancying his chances. If he can notch up another goal, then he will join Sam Ward as one of the top scorers with 3 goals, 2 penalty corner conversions already in Hero Champions Trophy 2014.
Well, with someone of his ability, you'd suggest they'll just let him have a crack to start with against a goalkeeper short on confidence.
He's the battery away from where we're sitting. And he's the one who's going for it. Oh, just taking a bit of a deflection and completely taking the sting out of it.
Well, that's a good bit of #1 runner is out really fast. It's a bit lucky because he's bailing out left as quick as he can. He gets the end of his stick, Mohamed Arfan.
For the moment, danger averted, but still in and about the Pakistan defensive third. That's where Australia are very, very dangerous. This time the goalkeeper does well. Quick decision making. Coming into the last minute of this match in this quarter. And Australia have by far had the better chances, but Pakistan did create a few bright moments early on. That's the confidence that they must feed off.
Yeah, Dawson fortunate a moment ago that Tusik wasn't a yard quicker, because he would have intercepted that and been away inside him. Australia playing very, very wide, back 3 transfers.
It says we've smashed inside, looking for one of the forward players. Wetton was closest to it, and Pakistan also don't do a very good job of defending it, it must be said. Indian sideline ball for the Australians. Dawson, do they have enough time to launch into one final assault before the hooter goes for the end of the first quarter? It is instead Pakistan who are coming away with it. Shafqat Rasool smashing it in, needed to be trapped, just couldn't pull it off, and that is why we haven't seen a goal as yet in the first 15 minutes of this match. After the first quarter, it's Australia 0, Pakistan 0. Australia, towards the end in particular, keeping this man busy with a couple of half chances, but no clear opportunities as yet for the Kookaburras, which will perhaps not bother them just as yet. But as the game progresses, they will try and exploit other ways and get into the chinks in the armor of the Pakistanis. The green shirts, well, if you believe in what Gordon Lightfoot once sang, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. And they have nothing left to lose at the moment in the pool stages, but all to play for when the quarterfinals begin in just a couple of days. They'll definitely try and get a little bit of momentum going. Some players in form, a couple of goals won't hurt. And keeping a more solid defensive formation will also be a good idea for both teams, Pakistan in particular. There have only been a couple of drawn games thus far in this Hero Champions Trophy, and one would suggest that Pakistan, for them, if they want to draw this match, they will feel quite satisfied considering what had happened in the previous game, Simon.
Well, I think they'll be very satisfied if they manage to keep to that. But what's interesting looking at the pictures on the screen is that the Australians, for their quarter-time briefing, have split into lines. So rather than doing a big team brief or debrief, they've got defensive, midfield and attacking units. Probably means that they can just be very specific and focus on their tasks rather than getting confused with a great big team ethic at this moment in time.
Must be pointed out one more thing, that Pakistan for the first time are playing the first match in a session. Before this, both their games have begun at 2 p.m. Particularly the second one, they had hardly any time to warm up. So today they've had a full half an hour before they went to the turf to take on Australia. So perhaps just that little bit of extra preparation time could help mentally. It's Australia who push things back in the second quarter. Once again from right to left in green and gold, and with possession. 13 times champions of this fantastic event, Champions Trophy. Long ball. Oh, missed by the first defender. It's been picked up by Simon Orchard. Looking up for support.
Orchard fortunate he got that ball because he slid through the back of Rasul. Aggressive challenge, nothing malicious in it at all, was just going for the ball that he knew he'd lost. If he hadn't made that contact, that had cars risen all over it.
And let's not forget, Australia were quite physical in their previous encounter against Belgium, but perhaps was warranted by the situation they found themselves in. It was perhaps aimed at just upsetting the resolve and the concentration, the well-oiled unit that is Belgium. Now this time into the D, looking promising. Oh, that's a brilliant bit of skill to lay it up, but well saved with his right foot. It was smashed in with fair amount of power by Russell Ford.
We immediately have Dion Nel coming over, talking about stick contact within the circle. As this comes in down the base, lovely little under the arm ball and interchange, peel back, spins and dumps, keeps possession. Great turn and fire, but doing well to get a right boot on it to clear.
Just suggesting that both teams are really up for this one. Australia also looking for their first victory in the Hero Champions Trophy, having been denied right at the end of the last game against Belgium. Remember, they have come in with a very young squad, big mixture of youth and experience in this team. A couple of the more experienced players currently on the move. Russell Ford has some support, finds a foot. Possession falls here for Glenn Simpson. Victorian turns it all the way back. Nick Budgeon. Back from Cirello. And lots of green and gold shirts in front, and that was Wetton, who was looking to be quite clever but just couldn't finish off the job.
Yeah, Wetton led back towards the ball and was trying to just deflect it first time off his left foot. As you rotate to do that, quite often your body weight falls away over your right shoulder and the blade of your stick opens up, lifting it as it did for Wetton and therefore conceding the free hit.
Simpson. Certainly inside this first half, a lot more of the ball possession has been with the Aussies. Orchard. Beale.
I'm impressed if captain Mohamed Imran can get out into the midfield line as he's doing at the moment. If he's got the legs to carry on with the running, it's really helping his midfield defence. But I'm not sure as he steps forward whether he's keeping track of players behind him.
This is lovely work. Wetton onto, or rather Hayward onto Wetton, who nearly found his way through, with the last touch coming from the Pakistan defence.
Here we go, this is the interchange. Wetton going down the baseline.
Yes, Mohamed Imran, he's no spring chicken, that's for sure. And we saw in the first game against Belgium, though he scored right towards the end, he did pull up with what looked a little bit like a case of cramps, and as a result perhaps just impeded his movement in the subsequent game against England. They have had a day's rest, but certainly today will be physically exhausting for it. This is beautifully done by Wetton. Oh, he's still going, almost finishing off the job. That was beautifully done by young Jacob Wetton.
He picks his, what a dummy, pulls it right to left, gets his eyes up. There was only ever one thing he was going to do. There's a video on YouTube of him doing this in the Australian State League along the baseline and smashing it instead of a far corner, near corner as the goalkeeper comes up. Such tenacious talent to have that vision and foresight to get along the baseline.
Action at the other end. Pakistan might just score against the run of play. They've got a couple of players into good positions, but again, this time it's Charter who's just been left a little dazed as a result of a collision, but what matters is the goal hasn't been scored against him.
His helmet appears to have popped off in the collision. For a situation where Lovell has gone out around the baseline, the ball's come in, there's some contest between attackers and defenders. Oh, that's the knee in the head. It's the knee in the head. The helmet didn't come off. I thought the helmet had come off in the collision. It's a good knee in the face mask. That would have just jolted his neck.
Tyler Lovell, the Western Australian, who's of just about the same age as Andrew Charter, but Charter has a lot more experience at this level. That's why it's good for him to get some exposure. Both of these players have played one quarter apiece in each game that Australia have played thus far. Would be interesting to see if they carry on with the same strategy, do you think, in the knockouts as well?
I do. I think this is something Australia, we've known for a long time Australia to change the goalkeepers sort of every game, but this is just a more aggressive strategy to make sure that both of them are really fit and well, that they're not overheating inside the kit. spoke to George Pinner after the England game today, and he said it was just so uncomfortable in that first half because you just can't, there's nowhere for the sweat to go. It can't evaporate under all that foam.
This is Budgen. He was looking for a through ball and had a couple of options in front of him, including Daniel Beale, but just couldn't find them. As Australia, particularly under their previous coach Rick Charlesworth, had this strategy of frequently rotating their players, more than perhaps any other team. But with this four-quarter system, perhaps the outfield players, one would surmise, have had a few more chances or a few more opportunities to spend longer moments out there on the field. The interesting bit, the rotation of the goalkeepers. Simon Archer, lots and lots of space down the right. Back with Sorello. Fergus Kavanagh. Plenty of Australians, in fact all of them now, barring the goalkeeper, in the Pakistani side of the pitch.
Well, that's a wild swing as the ball comes down the middle, and Mohamed Irfan tries to drive it off his toes. It gets flicked long from Sorello. Irfan stepping in. It's an attempt to bat it, unnecessary.
This could have been perilous because there were a few players behind him, at least a couple of Australians, who were in more than useful positions. This was raised, which is why it's resulted in a free hit for the Aussies, taken by himself. Russell Ford all the way to the baseline. Kavanagh. Will they switch this to the right? Hayward, nominee for the Young Player of the Year, which have just been, the names have just been announced by FIH.
So, to Pakistanis, corner gets given. We saw the stick tackle in the replay, but then you get contact in the circle, corner given.
And this is the lack of discipline in the Pakistan defence, which could cost them dear.
Yeah, you look at that, there's absolutely no need for the defender to get involved there at all. He's not 5 yards to start with, so immediately Wakas, closing down Tristan White, gives away the 5 yards because he's just impeding that space. You can't do that, you have to be slightly more patient, and if that wasn't the case, the impact would have created the obstruction anyway.
Just at the back end of the replay, his skipper was telling him, "What do you think you were doing, young man?" The player who plays down the flanks comes from Sialkot, Mohammad Wakas, but he will not feel so good about himself if Australia score from here. Working a variation, but well stopped. The follow-up is in, and it's the opening goal here for Australia. And the team which looked more likely to score has eventually scored.
Yeah, but Pakistan have gone to video referral down beneath to the left-hand side. I'm surprised the first routine didn't score because it was a good spin.
Yeah,
but there's some chat down below us. The body language suggests.
They say there was a dangerous swing, so I'm looking for dangerous play.
They're in a situation, it comes out to the top. It's a spin for the flick. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good save from Imran Butt. Now, I'm not sure there's anything dangerous about that at all. The ball comes through. In fact, the defender flashes at it. It's a good spin to deliver the ball on a plate. Cameraman loses it as well. Imran Butt with a good right hand. Defensive swing and miss. I don't understand. How can that be considered dangerous? It's nutmegged Imran Butt. Well, to me, that's a goal because there's no danger at all. There's just two attempts to stop at it from Hayward, that man.
So Pakistan, not only do they concede their first goal, they also lose their referral because of a failed attempt at getting that question. But Jeremy Hayward has given Australia the lead, and in some fine fashion, comfortable put away in the end for him.
Yeah, once again, corner out and spin, really, really well executed. Very difficult to get that ball to stop. And then all of a sudden you've got pressure from Shakil Butt in the middle of the circle, but nothing he can do to stop the crash ball in from Hayward.
And he has a reputation for scoring from these penalty corners, and that's exactly what he's done. He's 21 years of age, showed a little bit of inexperience or perhaps a lack of discipline in the last game. A couple of times was warned as well, was given the card too. But today he's redeemed himself more than well enough with the opening goal. And now the fear really sets in. Do the floodgates open? The Pakistan defence must be cautious over the next 7 minutes before the half-time break. Meanwhile, if they find a goal of their own, that will be more than good enough.
Well, the Australians are so good at trying to consolidate leads. Once they've scored one, they immediately find another gear. A lot of teams are criticised for when they concede one is they just step back, and we've seen the Indians do it on numerous occasions this tournament. They score a goal and then step back and concede. The Australians tend to do exactly the opposite. They just step forward. Maybe they've got some psychological process where they think through what they're going to do next, and they've then got a tactic to deal with it. Very impressive to watch.
And meanwhile, Pakistan hold on to their rather dubious record of the most goals conceded in this Hero Champions Trophy. 11 with the goal that they've conceded. Look at that number, 73% possession in opposition half. That tells you the story. Even though Pakistan have made those 3 circle penetrations, haven't really tested either Charter or Lovell. Will this be the opportunity? Shafqat has done well to hold off the first channels, and he's also managed to send it in. But well done there by Lovell, made himself large.
He did make it. It's a great overhead ball. Lovely skill to pause the ball without slipping over on this fairly slippy pitch. And all of a sudden there's stick check in the middle. 2 players having to stay fairly disciplined as Dawson gets that clear. Great, super. Look at that takedown. Eyes on the ball all the way through from Rachul Shafqat.
And the man right at the end of it was Mohammad Umar Bhatta, who just couldn't make his way across to the ball. It was a close shave nevertheless for the Aussies, and that is what they must be careful of. Pakistan have some exquisite individual skill, and if that comes together in a good package, that could lead to an equalizer soon. Remember, they did equalize against Belgium. It was only in the later stages of that match that the Belgians did pull away quite significantly, eventually winning that match 2-1. And of course, horrific Sunday, which all Pakistan hockey lovers would love to forget. 8-2 at the hands of England.
That's where Pakistan don't want to turn it over.
Indeed they have, and it has fallen here for Wetton. Excellent job. Just worked himself into a very narrow angle, and it must be said, quite well done there by Imran Butt.
Great through ball, Wetton on his backhand. That's a superb touch to be able to get his eyes up on the forehand. Not sure why he went again to reverse. He's gone to reverse. Great dummy and pull in. Now check right across the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper's never going to move. You had space, you had support on the far post.
Yes, in most sports you will be told to just fire it across the face of goal because it opens up opportunities for your teammates, which might still happen yet. Again, it's Wetton, and this time it's very close. That was a sparrow's blink away from the second goal.
It's a sparrow's blink. That's genuinely the first time I've ever heard it. Wetton on the backhand. He's got support on the far post. The frustration shown as there's a clatter of a stick into that far post. That should have been 2-0 Australia.
Kookaburra's turning it on. The champions, 5 times champions in a row. The last time, remember, that Australia didn't win the Champions Trophy was in 2007. So it's been a long, long time. And being a kind of team that they are, having won virtually every major title apart from the Olympics across the last 3 or 4 years, they will be itching to set the record straight in this Hero Champions Trophy. Budgen all the way to Devan. Back with Budgen.
That's an unusually loose pass. As of this quality, you'd expect them to be able to pass over distance to probably within half a metre. They'll do some very, very, very boring technical drills during their training. Just some cone drills of getting a ball, transferring it across the body, delivering slap passes. The ability to just put it on a sixpence nonetheless.
Well, if one views things from a Pakistan perspective, it's heading towards half-time and somewhat better as a picture than it was against England. They were 5-0 down at half-time, and from there on there was only going to be one winner. Right now they just trail by 1 goal, so every possibility of this quality Pakistan side, make no mistake, of coming back into this match. All it'll need is one quick goal at some stage soon, after resumption if necessary, and they could be back in it.
And they've handled the ball a lot better than I thought they would. They haven't had much of it. We saw those percentage possession stats, but when they've got it, they've done some stuff with it to actually create some danger for Australia.
Because at that stage they had just 27% possession, but still had about 3 or 4 circle penetrations. Here's another one where they do get a free hit in a useful position, and plenty of green shirts in and around the Australian goal. While the likes of Shafqat as well as Umar Bhutta all are around the goal mouth, Tyler Lovell knows that his task will be cut out.
Well, on the free hit that we just saw on the dotted line, that's the first time I've seen the ball go to the dotted line, but players not. As this comes in, a couple of slips in the circle as players turn and try to accelerate away. Whole players going to ground, it turning into an Australian 16-yard.
As Zohaib was looking to put some pressure on Tristan White, but as it turned out, both players just losing their footing a little bit, and in particular the player for Pakistan.
That loud blow from Dion Nell, just making sure the free hit is stationary. The ball has to be stopped. The players have to make an attempt to stop the ball. It's not just fluid play for the self-pass. Otherwise there's some uncertainty in defence about whether the free hit's been taken or not. You can't go into that 5-yard zone, and that uncertainty creates danger at times.
The unmistakable figure of Tim Devan down the right, looking to start this himself into the last 30 seconds. Pakistan will be looking to defend this as stoutly as they can, trailing by 1 goal. Don't want to concede a second before this half-time hooter goes.
Unusual from Simon Child on the baseline to miss something like that.
This was the moment which made the difference. Was well worked, and just for that little while, good control from Hayward, and fine finish in the end as well. So 1 goal in the second quarter, separating the two teams. At half-time in this match, it's Australia 1, Pakistan 0. The only goal of this match coming from a penalty corner conversion, which we just saw a while ago. Jeremy Hayward scoring. And on the whole, Australia dominating most of the numbers. They've dominated possession, had a few more circle penetrations, but Pakistan have just showed a little more spunk about them than they did in the previous encounter against England. And that's probably what will spur on Umar Bhutta and company. They will come out all guns blazing in the third quarter, because remember, they have a huge incentive here. If they can win this match, then they will climb themselves up to third position and will set up an encounter against the second place team from the other pool. Whereas if they do finish last, then it will be a match against the first. At halftime, it's Australia 1, Pakistan 0. just a one-goal cushion in favour of Australia at the moment in this match at the Hero Champions Trophy. The final Pool A encounter that we're watching. And Australia's goal coming through Jeremy Hayward, penalty corner conversion in the 23rd minute. Former England and GBR goalkeeper Simon Mason still alongside me. Simon, the first half that was dominated by the Aussies.
It was indeed huge amount of possession during the course of the game, but Pakistan created chances of their own. It was this that led to the actual goal. A great spin corner routine, good initial save from Butt, although Australia would like to think they could have buried the first shot. But in the end, it's the rebound. It went to video referral, but was overlooked. This was one of the chances from Wetton. He cuts inside beautifully there, and look at the support on the far post. Chooses to take it onto his backhand himself, but getting in the way.
And he had his moments, another one.
Yeah, this falls him, and he does go past the far post this time, but again, hands on head. Godes there to try and help him.
Confident young man, takes his chances, but just didn't work out for his team there. 0 shots to 4, so Pakistan haven't really made much of those 4 circle penetrations, and the possession tells its own story. As many as 2 penalty corners taken by Australia, out of which 1 has been converted in this match. No cards, which has meant it's been a clean game. Remember, we are on Facebook at FI Hockey. We are also at Twitter at FIH_hockey, where you can tweet in and send them in with the hashtag CT2014, as well as the other hashtag best of the best.
So looking back at the highlights that come through, Jake Wetton, if we're trying to see what they could do better in the second half, the decision here when he cuts inside to then go back on his reverse, I think is wrong. He's gone slightly too wide and the goalkeeper's engaged. Ideally, he needed to cut onto his forehand and look to far post. This is a better shot. Going backhand is fine, but by going across the goal, Godes coming in bottom of the picture now is the support. So Australia need, if they're going to get outcomes, to make the goal wider, get the support on the far post and use it, and Godes won't miss something like that twice.
Well, Australia, of course, leading by 1-0. Let's go find who Michael Absalom has with him in pitchside.
We could just get your objectives for the second half briefly before the boys take the field.
Yeah, look, we talked a lot about patience and having that patience to trust the game plan. Moving the ball from side to side will help us achieve that. I think we created enough opportunities. We squandered a fair few of them, and that was one of the problems, I think.
How do you get them to slot those opportunities in the second half? Is there anything you can do as a coach?
It's always difficult, mate. If you know the answer to that, please let me know. No, we just have to have that patience, stay focused on the next thing, and that's what we always talk about. It's that process that will provide the result.
All right, go out. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks.
The gloves are on for the Australians, because steadily their performance graph is, I suppose, improving in this Hero Champions Trophy. Began with that 1-3 defeat at the hands of England, and in their second match were leading for most of the encounter, but eventually had to split points with Belgium. Today is perhaps their best chance of grabbing a victory on their way to the quarterfinals, and no doubt the coach would have reminded his boys that that's what their primary aim must be, to try and get that victory irrespective of the margin.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they would have been talking about, and it's about the process, it's about stepping forward, it's about having faith in what you are trying to do. If you look all the way back to the World Cup final when they destroyed the Dutch, everything they did turned to gold, literally. And they're not a long way away from that. They're creating chances where the faintest of touch will turn it into a goal. So it's not like they've got to reinvent the wheel for themselves. They've just got to have faith in where they're getting to. And as the confidence and understanding builds, it will turn into goals.
Well, there's been no change in the goalkeeping side of Pakistan, but Andrew Charter has come back to tend goal for the Aussies. And that little helmet that he's got, a lovely little message there. Arcan, it says. Arcan, I can tell you, is Australian Rare Chromosome Awareness Network. Something that he supports and which he vouches for. So lovely thought to combine his passion and his sport and his profession with something which is a good cause. Goals will be a good cause here for Pakistan. Something that they have found a little bit difficult in this Hero Champions Trophy. Can they find one to get back into this match? This time the green shirts going from right to left. And up against them, defending their goal on the left. The green and gold of the Kookaburras under pressure perhaps for the very first time. Waqas retaining possession. Umar Bhutta. Sideline ball for the Pakistanis. Has some support inside. And that's quite a useful ball. This could be tricky for the defence.
Well, it's clever use of the body from Chris Cirillo. Knowing the ball's bobbling nastily and he needs to get it under control as quickly as possible. Just spins his hips to get in the way of the path of the Pakistani forward.
And again, oh, this time a shooting opportunity did provide itself. And this man wasn't one to look a gift horse in the mouth. Just didn't connect well enough.
Well, it's popped away. It's a great spin and turn. Super connection as he's looking for that far post from Arslan Khodia.
Really could have gone anywhere, could have gone into the back of the board, and that would have restored parity in this game. So Pakistan need to make that bright start, and it does look like they have come out with that positive mindset. At the moment, will need to defend this. Australia with possession, the way that they like to pass this ball around, spread the game across.
Yeah, the problem for Pakistan is that number 18, you can see in the middle of the picture, Khodia is the highest Pakistani forward, and he's only 5 yards outside his own 25. But we've got Dion Nell getting involved. There's contact off the ball that he spotted. Jacob Wetton is one of the players, and they've both been sent to the sin bin. So we're looking at Rizwan Senior and Jacob Wetton talking to each other. No love lost there.
Well, the only no just thing about it, apart from the fact that both teams have had a man sent to the sin bin for 5 minutes.
Yeah, in Australia against Belgium, they were cautioned. They are physical in both circles. They defend their spaces and then use their bodies. So Jacob Wetton from Australia and then Rizwan Senior both sitting down. At least it keeps things even. Both players punished equally.
This is scooped up. A temporary man advantage, rather the nullification from both teams. Wonder which team will suit that more. Australia, of course, doing a lot more running, and Pakistan quite happy to sit deep in their box and looking to defend. So that can turn out to be a slightly tricky proposition. Cirillo sends this ball in. Some committed defending to begin with, but it's still inside the D. That is always danger stations for the team which is defending. Handled well by the captain in the end.
Irfan coming well out of his circle. Pakistan did well not to give away a corner.
There goes Arsalan, one of the players who has caught one's eye. This is a ball that was left back and just a little clumsy to begin with, but good cleaning up from Umar Bhutta. And now moving into a dangerous position. Has it found an Aussie foot? That's what they were looking for. Just didn't work out as well as Rashid Mahmood would have wanted. Here's Ford. Orchard. Back with Ford. Confirmation of the card that was given to Wetton. Another one for Rizwan Senior as well.
Orchard orchestrating things down this bottom corner, drawing foul after foul.
Really is the value of experience. 160th cap for him, a man from New South Wales, staring at the prospect of getting his 50th goal in international hockey in Australian colours.
That pass, however, completely unnecessary from Australia, trying to go backhand across the entire pitch. It's a difficult pass to execute, even at the best of times. Pakistan come away with it and can counter to some extent.
Up here in his own half by Glenn Simpson onto Simon Orchard. We've seen a lot of the ball in the second half. Exactly the right word used by you. Orchestrating the midfield. On this occasion goes out for a sideline ball for the Aussies. They'll have that possession. Looking to make the most of it. Budgen. Wetton. Rizwan. Here's Cirillo.
Oh, this could easily be dragged in. He'll use his strength to look at the far post. He'll open his shoulders. There's the touch. How have they missed that? That was the completely open passing lane. Imran Butt is doing his nut, literally shouting at his defence because that channel was open.
Here is another opportunity yet again. Well done. But the
What a bit of goalkeeping and defending. Superb from Butt in the first instance. I think it's hit him on the forearm or the bicep as he comes steaming out in the way. And then again, maybe it's somewhere slightly more painful. Look at where his hand's moving. Great bit of goalkeeping. Interchange in the circle. Got a Pakistan player falling over. That's hit him somewhere in the midriff. Then a save on the line. That is fantastic from Mohammed Imran on the line. I still don't know where this hits, but yeah, it is. I think it is on the forearm. Underneath that big jersey, he won't have a huge amount of protection. Maybe some sort of shin guard type shell. Brave goalkeeping and effective in the end.
Yes, 2 stabs of the cherry there for the Aussies. First, Jake Wetton, and after that, Daniel Beale nearly converting those gilt-edged opportunities, but no goals as yet in this quarter. Australia still leading by that penalty corner conversion from Hayward in the second quarter. Now, possession with the Pakistanis. Can they make the most of it? Both teams have those players who had been carded a while ago back on the pitch. One of them, Rizwan Senior, on the ball. On to the captain, Imran. Through to Irfan. Shafqat.
Imran's pass, I think, is dangerous. If you're going to go from a static position, you don't want to be going in a straight line through an Australian midfield. He just ran forwards directly to where he passed the ball. It allows the defence to be set so easily against him.
Rashid with an error which allowed a sideline ball to open up the game for the Aussies, and Matt Coates, with all his experience, just making sure he puts some pressure down the baseline. But possession at the moment back with Pakistan, getting this free hit for themselves. Quickly taken by Rizwan. On once again to Rashid. Just unable to keep it in place. So some basic errors creeping in.
Oh, there's no surprise. I'm incredibly impressed by how well they've kept going, Pakistan. I was doubting that physically they were going to cope with an Australian onslaught when I was speaking before the game really began, but they've been exceptional. You question how on earth England tore them apart as much as they did. And yes, you said it was a crazy 11 minutes, but even so, you've got to be creating the chances to take them. Pakistan on this showing would be really competitive for any team in this tournament.
And that's the beauty of this format here of the Hero Champions Trophy. All teams going through to the quarterfinals, so in every respect you do begin afresh. You cannot write off any of the teams, least of all a team like Germany, which might well have lost a couple of games, but will be dangerous come Thursday.
It's a super tackle from Pakistan, and it's Butt who comes away with it. Bhutto had stolen it in midfield. Oh, he just tries to be too clever. Didn't need to go underneath his feet in that manner.
Well, it's the old Asian school of hockey at times, the need for some personal magic, some personal skills, but that might just catch them napping here on the break. Tristan White with some support, looking for young Tom Craig. Very interesting character, this Tom Craig.
Look at this jab, great jab, no pressure at all from Butter on the back of the Australian. Super clean pick. So what's interesting about Thomas Craig, other than he's a mountain of a man and seems to sprint 100 metres in about 11 seconds?
Well, his Australia debut actually got delayed by a little bit because it turned out that he's actually Kiwi by birth. And he picked up hockey while living in Canada, and he began with ice hockey. So quite a varied degree of experience in just 19 years of age.
Well, the ice hockey I can understand. He is, I was down pitch side the other day, he is massive. How he manages to get his frame around in a balanced way, particularly obviously with the complexities of the skills and the techniques that are involved with a hockey stick and a ball. Great, superb athlete.
Dindeven down to the left, picked up here by Beale, getting some support, and just at the edge, a penalty corner one, well won there by Glenn Simpson.
Well, this goes down to interpretation, but Pakistan don't have an appeal anyway, so there's nothing that can be done. I would guess the reason it's been given is that our umpire Gomez has anticipated or interpreted that it was a body check on the edge of the circle, therefore a deliberate foul. Oh, well, there may be if it was for that first stick tackle. The body check there, I don't think that's a corner. That, however, from Imran in the first place. Oh, on that angle, I take back everything I just said. That's awful.
Absolutely. Irfan might well have intended initially to go for the ball, but there was no doubt that he did leave his body back there. And, well, you reap what you sow, and that's what happened, because they have no referrals left. So they'll have to defend this penalty corner all by themselves. Who will come in from the battery? Oh, Clem Simpson with a very, very good drive. But Imran Butt is switched on today, and how?
He is switched on today, but it was a savable height. It was a very, very good piece of goalkeeping, but it was kind of between those two real goal-scoring heights, right up in the top corner where the goalkeeper has to explode to reach, and right down on the ground where he has to dive down, and it's a very, very difficult technical save. So as we see it here, comes out to top stop cleanly. It is a great drive, but that is goalkeeper's bread and butter at this level. He manages to get his left hand across as well, showing that he's read it pretty cleanly.
Not a bad thing for Australia also not to have Chris Cerello out on the pitch, which just allows some of the other players to have a stab at it. One of them here was Glenn Simpson.
A suggestion once again from the goalkeeper that that's hurt him. As we have a pause in play, he was down just to check his equipment. Right hand glove nearly getting knocked off by the speed of the shot from Simpson. It's amazing the difference 48 hours makes in terms of performance. Imran Butt, with some experience, and is a very competent goalkeeper. Against England, looked completely out of sorts. But look at that possession stat. Australia basically just playing keep ball, and yet haven't converted it into meaningful, multiple meaningful opportunities.
Although the 7 shots would indicate that Imran Butt has had a much better outing today than he did against the Englishman. Sometimes, I suppose, for every player it must be valid, but particularly for goalkeepers, once you have a little bit of a bad start in a game, then it just snowballs into something bigger. Today that hasn't happened, thankfully, for him.
It hasn't, and you're absolutely right. It is something that preys on the minds of most goalkeepers. It takes quite a long time until you can get to the point where you're not comfortable with letting a goal in, but you are able to let it go. You let one in, it doesn't then compound the next minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, which the other day it definitely did. There was a succession of errors. Every goalkeeper is going to let one in at some stage, and if you do, you just need to be able to simply take it out, put it in a box, throw it away, and carry on with the next thing.
Possession still here with Pakistan. Remember, there is that little window of opportunity for them. If they can not concede any more and score at least 2 more, then they will finish 3rd in Pool A, which will be quite an impressive outing considering the horror performance that we have been alluding to, which came on Sunday against England, 8-2. Their biggest defeat at the hands of the English in this format, the Champions Trophy. Tournament that they won in its first year, also retained it in 1980. And then won their 3rd and final Champions Trophy back in 1994, all on home soil though. This is Rashid, also bronze medalists from Melbourne 2 years ago. And in Melbourne, the match against Australia did finish 1-0, which is the scoreline at the moment at the Kalinga Stadium. Here come Pakistan once again, looking to build down the left through Rizwan Senior, getting some support. First from Arsalan, this is Ali. Arsalan once again, lots and lots of space here. Just looked a little cagey when he got to the ball.
He did. Look at the pressure that Australia exert to force Pakistan backwards. 15 seconds ago, they were in the bottom left-hand corner looking at a ball across the circle. They're now back, have gone back to their halfway line and now being forced to run the long way round the outside. Ali Shah not able to do so.
Rizwan again looking for some support, but this time cannot retain possession of the ball. Comes down to that word, doesn't it? Conditioning of these Australian athletes.
It's conditioning, but it's communication, it's shape, it's tactics. There has to be, to effectively press, there has to be an instinctive knowledge of what you are trying to do. The press never works if it's just one person taking initiative and running out on their own. When that happens, yes, you need a lead, a point player in your press, but then you need an immediate reaction from the people off either shoulder, because a good press becomes a wedge, stepping out, putting pressure on the ball carrier and denying ball into the half of the circle.
This is a fairly good movement here from Pakistan all the way to Tasawwur, who was actually the starting point of it. Got some support from the captain too, and was looking to find Shafqat, but just couldn't extend himself to that ball. There was also some useful work on the left flank from Rizwan Senior. So some of the Pakistani players just coming into their own, and with just about 2 minutes left in this quarter, they will be hoping to come back replenished, refreshed and rejuvenated for the fourth. Nick Bhajan.
Now, you just look at the energy of the Pakistani running down beneath us. Particularly Quadir that we're looking at, and there is no spring left in his step at all. It's a wander at the bottom of our shot into midfield, and that's not something you would see from any of the Australian forwards.
And as far as he's concerned, I'm sure the hooter won't come anytime too soon. Arsalan, that is, number 18 of Pakistan. There's been a much more improved showing overall, although the numbers haven't perhaps reflected that. White.
Coach Graham Reid may be a little bit frustrated that the possession hasn't turned into much in the circle. If you look at what's happened across the entire game, they've got so much ball, Australia, and yet in terms of how much of that has been in the attacking 25, not a lot is the answer, and not in terms of shot after shot after shot. Butt's made some good saves, but he hasn't been making a save every 2 or 3 minutes that you would expect if 70% of the time you have got the ball in the opponent's half.
Last few seconds, this was blasted in by Russell Ford quite hopefully, and had Wetton gotten across to it, had it been in his range, it would have been tricky for Imran Butt to deal with. This is hit with a lot of venom, and Russell Ford just couldn't get down on time to that last 5 seconds or so. Hooter will come anytime soon, and that will signal the end of 3/4 of this match. After 45 minutes of this game, it's Australia 1, Pakistan 0. Still separated by that one goal which was scored off a penalty corner by Jeremy Hayward. But this third quarter has seen slightly better hockey from the Pakistanis overall, especially in midfield, retaining possession better, getting some triangle passes together, getting some combination going between the likes of Rizwan, the captain Imran as well, contributing to a few positive moves, and Arsalan Qadir has particularly looked quite impressive, but they have not been able to convert it into anything. Another little chat between Charter and Lovell, just exchanging notes. In all likelihood it will be Lovell for the fourth quarter. That is how Australia have been playing all their matches thus far, and no doubt we'll be looking for one final push in this match to get not only possibly a few more goals, but some confidence going before the quarterfinals on Thursday. That will be the priority for the Kookaburras. Sheikh Shahnaz will be telling his boys that they have played much better, and just that little effort right at the end could yield something for them, Simon.
Yeah, it could. There's going to be moments. The Australian defence will get a little bit frustrated. They will not be happy with this 1-0 scoreline. We gauge from the body language that we briefly saw in a camera shot. Graham Reid wants more. He wants energy. He wants enthusiasm. He doesn't want Australia to come down to the level of Pakistan. He wants them to step beyond it and find a couple of extra gears. Pakistan, on the other hand, exactly right. Be patient, build it up. Every now and again, maybe 2 or 3 times in this quarter, you will get a chance at goal.
There's that regulation change of goalkeeper. Tyler Lovell now stepping in for Andrew Charter. Always is a difficult kind of a match to play, I suppose, in this format, but the biggest thing that you've got to take from it is confidence going into your quarterfinal games, knowing that you're already in the quarterfinals, and just allow that little bit of complacency to creep in. But your job as both coach as well as your player is to get down to the business of winning the matches. As things stand, 2 teams are unbeaten thus far in the Hero Champions Trophy, England as well as Belgium, and Netherlands also joining them, but they will have their match against India next, which will see if they can retain that unbeaten record among the 8 teams that have been playing in this fray. Pakistan on the attack. It's Rizwan Senior. Looked like he was lining it up on the back, got it on the front, and there was a wicked deflection from Cirello.
There was, and actually it hadn't been touched by a Pakistani in the D, so there wasn't a chance of a goal, but Cirello deflecting it onto his own goalkeeper's pads, which then bobbled out and was free in the circle. We see here Rizwan Sini again, great turn under pressure, drills it across. Yep, Cirello with a big flat stick blade was able to get the ball away to an extent, although Ali Shan very close to picking it from him.
As both Ali Shan and Arsalan Qadir had that opportunity, had that fallen to them, and from that point of view, it was rather fortuitous that it hit the outside of the boot.
Yeah, but if you look over the course of this game, probably ignoring the second quarter, but quarters 1, 3 and now 4, in the first minute or two, Pakistan have consistently created chances. It's as if they're rejuvenated by the break and they're able to step forward, they're a little bit fresher, they're thinking faster, they're moving the ball quicker. It then just starts to tail off. It's as if the leadership out on the pitch isn't able to maintain the players' intensity. That's nothing the coach can do anything about. He can scream till he's blue in the face. It won't change anything. That has to be led across the lines. And if you are relatively inexperienced, that's what you are going to be lacking.
And it is a relatively inexperienced squad, barring the captain Imran. Not too many of the players above the age of 24 or so. An average age, in fact, in the entire squad of just about 23. Wetton getting this game going from the right flank. This is Jeremy Hayward, the only goal scorer in this match thus far. We've seen fewer goals than we saw in the last match day. 29 on Sunday. We've had 6 today in all, and we still have 1 match to go. Oh, this has been well picked up. Daniel Beale was looking to create some space for himself, but was quickly closed down by the defenders. Well done. Here's Bajjan. Gives the ball away. Here come Pakistan once again, moving forward in good numbers. Shafqat Rasool just cannot keep it in play. His teammate. The idea was right, but just couldn't do enough there, Mohammad Waqas. Back with Pakistan, the captain himself taking it. Imran all on to Irfan. Been a few outstanding individual performances today. Here's Rizwan. He's been another one who's been quite lively down the left flank. Used the width of the turf quite usefully. Rashid. Here's Rizwan again. Does well again to win possession for himself. Quickly taken here, looking to move forward. Got some green shirts to try and pass the ball inside. Again comes off on Australian foot. Simon Orchard in that position there. Now Rashid quickly turns. That's a beautiful bit of skill. But in the end, just took a little bit too much time to line it up, did Rizwan.
And they've got a corner. Hayward stepping forward has been caught with his back foot. Pakistan, that's all because of their desire. Rizwan Senior on the floor, out of shot, having dived full length to knock the ball back to his midfield to enable the play to continue, second and third phase. And that's when the ball went in and Hayward was caught, not napping as such, but with the wrong body shape and attacking the ball. It comes out here, it's a lovely open drag. It's not Hayward's foot, I do him disservice, but it is off the toe of his stick up into the air as he tries to get in the way. An early blow from Dion Nell.
Well, Hayward take it, Hayward give it away, and let's see if Pakistan can take advantage of this. They've got a couple of good converters here. The captain Imran as well as Irfan, who scored in the previous game, but it won't be done if he completely missed the track.
Yeah, that ball took a horrible skip as it came from the injection about halfway through the circle. It skipped up, and in doing so it's flown straight over the top of the stopper. You see here the drag comes out, it picks up there. There's a huge bobble. It takes 3, in fact, 1/2 inch and then 2 inches to go straight over the blade of the stick of the stopper.
fact, the particular goal where Tyler Lovell is standing. In the previous game in particular, there was a few opportunities which were missed. Now this time, that was a terrific run, bustling run with lots and lots of support coming in. Eddie Ockenden almost scoring.
Yeah, and it's the return pass that's so good. Ockenden carries on his run, but because he's accelerating, you imagine running like a sprinter. Your hips and your shoulders are facing the direction that you are sprinting. Consequently, it's really, really hard to swing a stick on the correct line to execute a shot when you want it to go straight in front of you. In order to do that, you have to rotate your shoulders so the left shoulder's pointing at the goal. He wasn't able to do that, and so pulling through, it's gone past the goalkeeper's right-hand post.
Some good pressure from the Australians, but Pakistan still come away with it. Can they be rewarded here for what has been a game performance with a goal? Oh, the right idea, still could be a chance.
Oh, again they've missed. That's two chances. The final one flashed past the left post from Waqas. But Pakistan going at this game as if they've got a chance. Second phase here, the pickup. Waqas, no doubt at all. It's come up off the keeper. He's picked it on the forehand, blazed it wide.
I'm telling you, there's something wrong with that goal, because in the previous game, England-Belgium, that's where a lot of the times the ball did come off the framework, including the penalty stroke, which was missed. But no, jokes aside, it has been quite a lively game. But don't be fooled by the score. It's only been one goal in it, but both teams have played some good attacking hockey. Especially the second half has been much better from Pakistan. They must keep going though, and keep trying, striving, defending well. And who knows, they might well be rewarded with goals of their own.
Now they've got a problem, Australia. They're going to have to run, because Pakistan will throw 3 or 4 men forward at this and try to interlink. That's a good pass if they can stop it, but it was all just a bit hopeful from Tasawwur Abbas.
And again, that difference in fitness seems a little stark, because visibly the Pakistani players tiring.
Yeah, there just wasn't a commitment to be able to run past the Australians. To be fair, in world hockey, I'm not sure there's any team really that can run past the Australians without them getting a decent number back in defence. But that's the sort of thing that Pakistan love.
Daniel Beale, the Queenslander who got one of the goals in the previous match. Australia, as we did surmise, have been improving with every game, and that's been in evidence today. Perhaps not so much in the score line, but definitely some of their link-up play has been a delight to watch. This time down the right, Fergus Kavanagh does well to keep it in play.
Drop off and recycle, and all of a sudden Ockenden's got the ball, can go under his arm. They're kind of playing in dead areas really, and being forced to smash it in from distance.
Tom Craig has found a foot, and this could be just the kind of opening that Australia need to seal off this deal. 1-0 up with a chance possibly to get a second here of a penalty corner.
And it was a ball that was forced in. That's a hit to nothing from Russell Ford. It's just fallen very well to Tom Craig, and he's just wound it back in to Mahmood on the baseline. Nothing that he could do. He's created the obstruction, the body position in itself being illegal.
Talking about him earlier, Tom Craig is a very lively character, gets those good goal scoring positions, already has had a goal earlier in the test series against India, and will be looking possibly to bounce on something if it comes to him. But there are a few others queuing up. Hayward goes for it, scores his second, and just like that, Australia does look like they have sealed up this in their favour. Was driven in with a lot of power. Not sure if there was much that Imran Butt could have done this time around.
No, I think that's gone past Imran Butt's left foot. It's gone straight through the postman, Tasawwur Abbas. It's a straightforward drag from Hayward. He's got plenty of time. The number 1 runner's run through, but yes, Tasawwur Abbas gets pretty much everything on it, except he just doesn't middle it. He's played across the ball rather than down the line of it. Coach is happy he's got slightly more of a window, breathing space, and that was a powerful drag, slider off the stick of Hayward.
Yes, Graham Reid would have been a little worried, especially with the Pakistan momentum that was building up in the last few minutes. And as a result of this goal, one would imagine that the 3 points should be Australia's. Never take anything for granted when the best of the best take each other on. Here comes Mohammad Waqas.
Players still happy to go shoulder to shoulder in the 25 to try and win back those 50-50s. Neither team giving any quarter. Pakistan not renowned for being a particularly physical or strong side. Situation, however, looking at Mahmood going happily through the 50-50 to try and win possession. That's a great under-the-arm ball.
It is absolutely beautiful. Pakistan looking sometimes in glimpses like the Pakistan of old. Exquisite skills, just not been able to convert it into a goal as yet. There have been goal-scoring opportunities, mind you. Just not found the back of the net or sound to the board in this game thus far. This is swung in, taking a deflection, but picked up by Australia. Chance for a counter-offensive. A good bustling run coming through the centre. Just couldn't complete it though, Daniel Beale. Rather, it was Matty Dawson in the centre. Ali Shan. Some green shirts inside. Oh, hitting his own man.
He's drilled it into Dilber's midriff. I think it managed to hit the stick of Dilber, the grip, which protected him slightly. Otherwise, he was in a whole world of trouble.
This time again, Ali with a quick run. Does find a foot, but it is outside the D. That's why having to go across the dotted line. Oh, sent in.
That's a corner. It's come up off the foot of Kavanagh. And that's a mouth injury. That's not going to be good on Waqas. It's the toe of Kavanagh's stick that's deflected it upwards. Waqas is staying on the pitch though, whilst it's hit him. This is a long drag in. He knew it was coming. There it is off Kavanagh. It's just caught the edge of his jaw. It's a glancing blow, fortunately, for Waqas. That's hit him on the side of the face rather than coming up straight into his teeth.
That well smart. There will be a swelling, but let's just hope that it's not bad enough for him to be impacted for the quarter-final, because Pakistan will take a lot of confidence from this performance, especially if they can convert a goal here. Then we could be in for a tense last few minutes. Two-fold battery. One of them, the captain, goes for it. And another penalty corner. Mohammad Imran swinging it in with a lot of pace.
But Australia are going to referral. They're saying the =1 runner has charged it down when it's come off his gloves. So Matt Godes, who's charged it down, has said that his hands are on his stick.
Referral Australia looking for dangerous ball into the runner.
Oh, okay. I interpreted that completely wrong. I thought he was pointing at his gloves to say that it's hit his gloves rather than his body. If it's hit his body, you'd have to look at side on to establish distance. That is more than 5. That's less than 5 yards anyway. I can't see how the question is as it is, but I was convinced it was about hitting. Yeah, that's hit his right thumb. So it's the danger is irrelevant. It hasn't hit his body. Look, you can see him waving his glove, which is why I thought he was asking for the referral in the first place. There's a degree of confusion about the question.
Restart with the bully on top of the circle. Bully on top of the circle. Okay, guys, it's not the glove, not the body, it's the glove, so it's a re-bully. Yeah, we're going to bully here.
Absolutely the right decision.
More than 5, no danger. Bully off the glove, just the wrong decision, not body. And Australia, yeah, they're going to give back to you.
Well, Australia will be breathing easier after that, because Pakistan just suddenly, they have shown this ability today to switch on and create some goal-scoring chances. The last few moments were quite anxious for the Australian defence and wouldn't have enjoyed the possibility of another penalty corner, that's for sure.
Good uncontested from Pakistan, a bit of sportsmanship shown. I think most of the bullies that we've seen, that's happened. There was one today that wasn't. That, however, is an awful bit of international skill. That's an open-handed slap, about 20 feet in the air.
What's going to happen once the quarterfinals are upon us? That is the big question, of course. No inch will be conceded once we get to Thursday. This time, it's a decision going in favour of Australia. Jacob Wetton, as always, hands in the pants near the Pakistan goal. The long, wiry frame of Eddie Okenden looking to make things difficult for the Pakistan defence, but eventually they do come away with it into the last 4 minutes here in this match. 30th meeting between these two teams. But just like 2012, this one is also going Australia's way. Pakistan's wait for a Champions Trophy victory over the Kookaburras, it would seem, will have to wait for a few more years.
I'll be interested to see how Pakistan close this game out. I appreciate they're 2-0 down, whether they keep going with the structure that they've shown or if they kind of revert to tight, feel that the game is beyond them and therefore it goes into individual dribble mode. A moment ago we saw a player taking on 3 opponents and in doing so very, very nearly getting turned over, and the Australians will love to flood through the midfield and create a final opportunity.
Tim Devan pushing flanks down to Chris Cirello. No goals for him today, so doesn't add to his tally of 2. There is still enough time though if he can create a goal scoring opportunity. He likes to send in those wristy drives straight into the D. Doesn't try that here, but a sideline ball. Going Australia's way. Matt Dawson swinging it in. Jake Wetton has some good pace to burn, gets some support from Craig. The two of them looking to weave some magic. Still with the Aussies, advantage played. And it's looking quite promising. Tristan White there.
That's a brilliant shot-saving tackle from Tassawar Abbas, making up to some extent for the penalty corner that went through his post position, because Wetton was absolutely in.
Once again looking to put some pressure down the back line, but doesn't quite work out for Australia. But it has been a good workman-like performance from the Aussies. Not often that you can say that about them. Especially love playing on Indian soil. Have had a huge amount of success playing in both the Commonwealth Games as well as the 2010 World Cup. But those were both in Delhi. Here in Bhubaneswar, it's been a slightly different story. They'll feel quite relieved to get the 3 points at the end of these next minute and 48 seconds or so. Right through the middle. Oh, missed by a couple of players, but eventually picked up by young Dawson. Cirello.
Australia, they've just never really fired on all cylinders. There's not been any, I guess, any flair.
But here's some flair. Oh, and it's a fine finish. That is beautifully done. The two young Turks coming to the fore. Tom Craig with a brilliant run down the left, and his backhanded slap, which was beautifully deflected into the goal by Jacob Wetton, who gets yet another goal in international hockey in Australian colours, his 32nd in all.
Well, we talked earlier on about Wetton needing to widen the goal when he shot. It's now that he's widened the goal by being in exactly the right place. Down that forehand, Tom Craig gets his feet round. Jake Wetton, that's one of the easiest finishes he'll be presented with all week. Tom Craig done exactly the right thing. Open hands, suggestion, I think, of back stick. It didn't really rotate the stick completely. Difficult when you're that tall.
59th minute strike, which has been converted by Jake Wetton. Tom Craig, of course, was of course the provider, but good vision from him. The way he just quickly looked up, and within 1 instant he knew what he needed to do. And the Pakistan defense also tiring now, and the effects of tiredness showing. Will they concede another one? Australia looking to bring themselves into 4 goals to the good, but just couldn't complete the job this time. Imran Butt, trial by fire for him, both him and his partner Amjad Ali. Between the two of them, they have now conceded 13 goals in this Hero Champions Trophy, the most among all teams. In the next match, which will pit Netherlands against India, a couple of interesting combinations there as well. India have scored the fewest of goals among all teams, just 2. The Netherlands have conceded the fewest, just 1, which was against Germany. Chris Cirello. Australia will reflect in the end on a job well done, but they have sure been made to work hard for it. Can they finish it off? Can they seal it with a goal? Down to the last few seconds, literally the last hit just sails over. And that means that Australia have gained a comprehensive victory in this match. Pakistan did fight hard, but in the end, the honours go to Australia. It's finished here at Bhubaneswar. Australia 3, Pakistan 0. Good goals, couple of penalty corner conversions by that man there, Jeremy Hayward. And Well, coach Graham Reid will not be complaining too much about the overall performance of his boys. But Pakistan did make them work quite hard for it. In fact, till the second goal came in from a penalty corner in the 53rd minute, it looked like it could go either of the two ways. Jacob Wetton with the third and final goal. A good performance from the Kookaburras in the end. Their first victory, would you believe, in this Hero Champions Trophy in 3 attempts. Pakistan still seeking their first points. Haven't got that yet in the pool stages. Full-time scoreline here in Bhubaneswar. Australia 3, Pakistan 0. Well, Simon, Pakistan did show a little bit more spunk today, but in the end, the slight, I should one say, the difference in quality showing.
I think Pakistan was superb this afternoon. They were well marshalled at the back. Imran Butt doing what he does when he plays well, stopping most things that go to him. Captain Irfan standing tall in the middle at the back and stopping the lines of attack. A minimal number of goals for Australia, given the amount of possession they had. The first one, a slightly fortunate rebound from the penalty corner, well executed routine. Good right-hand save from Butt, one of many that he made. In the end, Hayward pumping it through the goalkeeper. Fairly straightforward finish to bottom left. Through Tasawa Abbas's channel, probably should have done better. And then finally, Wetton on the far post. He had a couple of opportunities himself to score from the shot. He immediately goes out to Tom Craig to suggest it's all from him. It's the easiest of tip-ins.
Yes, if in some other sports you do point your bat, this time he pointed the stick as if to say, well done mate, that was all yours. 11 shots to 4 for Australia, 13 circle penetrations to 7. So most of the numbers, not surprisingly, in favour of the Aussies. Also 65% possession, and also converting the only penalty corner which was converted by either of these two teams. In fact, 2 penalty corners came Australia's way in the end. Cards were also split equally, but on the whole it was a good performance from the Australians. 3-0, and they maintain their supremacy, which dates back to post 2002, back in Cologne, when Pakistan last beat Australia in the Champions Trophy. That's how long it has been, and that is how it turned out to be today as well. 30th meeting between these two teams in the Champions Trophy, going the way of the Kookaburras, the defending champions. Quite a sizable crowd which is building up in Bhubaneswar, and they will give the Aussies a good standing ovation, of course, waiting for the next match. But before we go towards analysis for the Netherlands-India game, it's over to Michael Absalom for the presentation.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Bhubaneswar. A great crowd in this evening. It is now time for the post-match presentation for the hero man of the match. Joining me, we'll start with the far side, is Ken Reid, who is a representative of the International Hockey Federation. He has in his hand a cheque for 25,000 rupees, as well as a man of the match trophy. And this evening, it's a Pakistani player who worked incredibly hard out on the pitch. Let's hear it for Mohammad Rizwan Senior! Pakistan going down by 3-0 in the end, but a very worthy winner of that 25,000 rupees. Thank you very much. Well done. Congratulations. Thank you.
So Pakistan unable to break their duck in terms of points in this Hero Champions Trophy, but they do walk away with an individual award. That is an emotion which is shared by not only India, but the entire sporting fraternity at large, and it's been visible in this tournament as well. The Australians have put out their bats in memory of Phil Hughes. Australia winning this game and registering their first victory as such, their first 3-pointer, and that takes them to 4 points, but cannot take them past Belgium, alas. So England and Belgium stay top of the pool in terms of their first and second positions, both of them unbeaten following the 1-1 draw which they played against each other. Australia winning this match by 3-0 in the end, with 2 goals coming right in the last 7 minutes, to tell you the extent of how close it was, even though the scoreline would suggest that Pakistan were blown away. This is what had happened today earlier. Argentina with a shock victory, one would suggest, against Germany, 3-0. The ease of it perhaps a little deceptive, but Germany will be looking to bounce back with venom when the quarterfinals come by. England and Belgium are through with a lot of confidence going in from Pool A. And Pool A engagements have been finished with Australia beating Pakistan 3-0. The last one, 7:30 p.m. That's just about 24 minutes or so from now. It's going to be Netherlands against India. Netherlands are still unbeaten thus far in this Hero Champions Trophy. Simon, should be an interesting game because India also have a lot of points to prove.
India have a huge number of points to prove, and they haven't really shone so far. I mean, the fans out there, this capacity crowd, looking forward so much to their team coming out and getting a positive result. However, standing in their way are a Dutch team that have looked fluid, they've had understanding, they've created some goals, and players like Hertzberger have shone throughout these pool matches so far. And they really are going to have to be on their mettle to deny the Dutch in the early stages and then get something out of the game themselves.
Yes, it's a quality Dutch team, but perhaps the fans here of Bhubaneswar will just wind up being the 12th man, so-called 12th man for the Indian team, which is still searching, remember, for their first points of this Hero Champions Trophy to go in with some confidence into the quarterfinals. So with the news that Australia have beaten Pakistan 3-0, do join us in just a bit for Netherlands versus India.